Welcome to Cannabis School. I'm your host, Jesse Angeles.
And I'm Brandon Elder.
And we're here to talk to you about everything pertaining to cannabis, from vape,
Flower,
edibles,
strains,
and everything in between.
Ooh. She smells
I mean, I wouldn't
good.
make that sound, but
Dude.
it was pretty good. Okay, egg roll.
Yeah, smell. Egg roll is ready.
That's different.
Yeah, very gassy. Very gassy tones.
It's real. Dude, that will hang with you.
It's mixed with Chemdawg and Biscotti.
Chemdawg and Biscotti.
I love Biscotti, and I really like Chemdawg. I haven't had Chemdawg in
It has
ages.
been a long time since we've had Chemdawg. We had them in those white carts.
Bangers?
No, Unos. While back.
Okay.
There
I was thinking flower.
Oh, wait a
even.
minute. No, wait a minute. What'd you say? Was it?
Chemdawg. I don't think there was a-
No, there was a Chemdawg. I do remember
Oh,
that.
then that has been
There was a
ages.
Chemdawg and a green crack in that one.
Okay, then
And
that's been so long.
And then you mix those two together in like wax, and you made dragon's breath or something like that.
Oh, we made something. Oh, you got gum. We should take that one out.
Oh.
You're good. I'm just barely hearing it now.
I'll just swallow it.
Yeah, that too.
That's what she
That's
said.
fine.
But wow, man, this thing is really. Oh, I'm excited to what this.
It's
I mean,
very
it's almost
gassy
got
notes.
like this, almost like, and I'm saying this with the nicest. It's almost got like this weird shit smell.
Really, I just get gassy notes.
Maybe that's the gassy notes. It doesn't smell more like petrol.
No, not like petrol kind of gas, but like gassy
somebody-
cannabis tones.
Oh, like somebody farted in your face gas?
What
is
I
that?
don't know. You
Is
run
that-
into a lot of that?
Egg roll?
Crop dusted.
No crop dusted. It's just like, yeah, have you ever seen that? There's this video of this guy who's like trying to win this competition, and you have to guess this smell. And there's a dude's ass,
Oh my gosh.
and it's dark. And they're recording him with like night vision. And the guy's like over there, and there's like a circle, and they have to go to each station and sniff.
He puts his nose in the guy's ass.
And if you get it wrong, it'll go, "Brr." And he's all, and it's like almost between the cheeks. And he's like, oh, that smells like ass. Bing. And he's like this. He just look like, what the fuck?
Oh,
like,
that's
you just made me
horrible.
sniff ass.
Could you imagine, like, in the dark, you have no idea. It's like going to one of those little kid things, haunted houses when you're little, and it's like, put your hand in this bowl of eyes, and it's grapes. Put your hand in this intestines, and it's like spaghetti
Yeah.
or something. You're like, okay, smell this. It's ass in your face.
Oh, dude. Especially if it's like some dude's ass, right? And then you get
Worst
like
haunted house ever.
the hairs brush against your nose, and you're like, no, why? Right?
I
But
just threw up a little bit.
that's super funny though, because you think about that. Like, I mean, I don't know. It's all for the gram, you know. Let's get that.
Did I not bring the dosing tool? I swear I grabbed that.
I don't. Oh, wait a minute.
The little tiny one, because he used to be in there, and I swear I grabbed it for... Oh, he's under me.
Speaking
he was
of-
not hiding
Speaking
in
of
my
ass smell, no, just kidding, dude. I'm a meticulously
clean.
clean person. Like, I've got the wipes.
Oh, you wiped before this time.
No. I mean, no. I didn't. Oh, well, no. That was funny. This is so taken out of context. If you guys watched that clip, that's hilarious. It made me laugh so many times. I'm like, because your face, you're like, what? I'm like, yeah, dude. Just fuck it. And then the comment, this one guy who was so stoned, he's like, bro, get off his
So
couch.
disrespectful.
Oh, man. That's not cool, man. You shouldn't shit your pants on. Dude, that's not cool.
Not at all.
I was I saw this clip of this actor who was in a play, and he starred with Macaulay Culkin's little brother.
Okay.
And for those who don't remember Macaulay Culkin,
He looks like he's on drugs now.
Well-
Oh, wait. No, he might look better now. All
Oh,
the
he
photos
does.
that I've seen, though, have been of his, like,
he just looks like that. Like
haggard and...
I had a friend who looked like he was like Axl Rose's roadie from Guns N' Roses back in the 80s and 90s. But he's just the way he looked. But this guy, he was talking about how they were doing this play, and there's a scene at the first where they're smoking this joint.
Okay.
And they use like clove or something like that.
Yeah.
And when it was Mark Ruffalo. And he goes, and then I light it up, and he's like, normally I'm like 2 hits, and I'm like, I'm stoned. But I thought this was fake, so I'm hitting it. And the conversation is going on for a while in the dialogue. And one of the actors, she's never had pot before, and he's all, I'm smoking it, and I'm all, man, I am really into character. And then the girl, he sees the girl, and she's like,
Oh my gosh.
and then he's like looking around, and he's looking at the joint, and he's like, what the, and he looks, and behind the curtain is Macaulay Culkin's little brother, who's, I mean, he's a full-grown adult now, but he is laughing because he hit a real joint.
He swapped it out.
He swapped it out for a real joint. And so it was so funny. And he's like, and they were the best reviews we ever got on that play that night.
Could you imagine how funny that would be if people like actually snuck that out, swapped it out for movies and stuff? Like, oh, hey, this prop joint, they're actually going to get high now. And so then
Matthew McConaughey had that happen with Snoop Dogg.
they swapped out a joint.
Well, Snoop Dogg was in some movie that he was in, apparently.
Do you want to spark up?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You're good.
So tell us more about eggplant before I go on.
Yeah, so egg roll is Indica-Dominant hybrid.
Egg roll.
I know. Well, Jesse's got something on his mind. So
nausea, pain. No.
Chemdawg and Biscotti. This one says it's supposed to be a sweeter strain with like plum tastes and little accents of black pepper. So my guess is there's a beta-carotene and you might get some peppery notes there in the back of your throat. I am excited. Oh yeah, beta-carotene, limonene, humulene, and linalool. So beta-carotene is the most dominant terpene.
I can see why it would be called egg roll. The flavors are definitely gassy, but they're not super strong. And it kind of gives this hint of like MSG. Just kidding. I don't know, man. It's definitely got an Asian flavor. Dude, no joke. I mean, maybe that's my mind, but it almost smells like a Vietnamese restaurant. Like there's pho in the air. That's weird.
Yeah. Definitely coffee. That beta-carotene just goes right. It's not even to like the top of my throat. It's like way down in here.
Mm-hmm. And in the top of your... Dude, it's foggy in here.
Yeah. Well, it's because George Jetson is nicely cleaned.
Oh, yeah.
So I put a brand new... They have those lovely screens in the bowl, which keep most of the particulates from going down, but then they get clogged with tar and stuff. You can't really use ISO to clean that. You just have to chuck the screen and put a new one. So today we're rocking a brand new screen in it, and oh my God, does George Jetson pull so nice. Oh,
wow. Yeah, this is... Yeah, make sure to keep your Jetson clean. Go to Jet Filtration Systems. Check them out.
The link will be below. I don't know if it's actually Jet Filtration Systems is the website, but it sure might be. And if not, it'll be below.
Yep. So this is really not, even with all of the beta-carotene in there, it's a little spicy.
Yeah.
At the top of your lungs. That's where I feel it.
Yeah, it's pretty like way down here or like up here, and either really far down my throat or really up at the top of my lungs. Like it's a...
Well, and for some those who are new to it and they'll smoke and they'll feel that and they're like, oh my God, like this could be a quick feeling of panic, especially if you're not used to it. Just know typically when you start to feel that, when something is high in, would you say
beta-carotene?
Beta-carotene.
Yeah, then limonene.
You will feel that heaviness. And that's pretty indicative. This is a hybrid?
It's supposed to be an indica-leaning hybrid.
That's what I was about to say, because typically when I feel that burn top, I'm actually pretty excited because I know that it's going to kick in pretty quickly. And indica strains, usually indica-leaning strains, I feel it more here starting because the coughing has dissipated. The feeling of weighted is still there. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, like the...
like it makes me want to cough even though I don't need to.
Yeah, I'm glad that the coughing sensation, it's not quite as burny now in my throat as it was initially, but it is just a very short, get that out, and then, like you said, it's kind of almost a weight, but not like a heavy weight as in I feel pain or that. This one's actually supposed to be great for pain, nausea, and happiness, like just overall happy well-being.
Yeah, this is really good. I mean, dude, it's been a while since we've hit jets in here, and
yeah, well, and last
those
time we
big ass
did,
clouds
it was just so clogged with the filter that it was so hard to pull through.
Those last ones were pretty rough, but Even then, though, I was still getting decent clouds on that one. And in this one, it was just like a fogger. Like in the room.
Yeah, it was quite smoky. Yeah,
It normally doesn't get that smoky, but typically it's been a while. So yeah, the flavors are decent. Now again, if you're new to cannabis and you're consuming, you're just like, dude, I'm going to burn the flower, vaporize first, get used to the flavors, understand what that is, start to read about each strain and start to understand what these notes are and what you can kind of expect. Like we had one in a dab form, Frosted Flakes.
Oh, yes.
And Frosted Flakes, like you're thinking sweet and all that, but it's very piney.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, what is it? You know, it's usually pining.
But that's what I found, the lower temps on that especially. And I mean, maybe that's the exact same thing with flower. Burning it, you don't get the same flavors. It's way higher temp.
I will say this, though.
Vaporize.
After you've been doing it for a while, for many years, you start to pick up those first notes.
Yes.
Like after a while, it's just burning plant.
Yeah.
But
the very first hit, that's why I like the very first hit of the first bowl when it's clean, you get the best flavors. Even if you're burning it, once you've got that, you're acclimated to cannabis flavors and that, you can pick out the notes, even with smoking it. From a joint, a bong, a pipe, from that very first hit.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I don't know why this is coming to my mind, but it takes me back to like the 80s and 90s, like when people used to smoke in them. And the smell in here just smells like a Chinese restaurant where the owner of the place is in the back. There's this Thai restaurant here in Utah. And every time,
I love Thai food.
I think it's Pho King Orem.
I've not tried that, but I love their...
Dude, it's awesome. I'm sure it's around anywhere
Fucking
you're
Orem.
at. Fucking Orem, right? But fucking Orem, right? But when you go there, it's near the Pho King. It's next to it. There's a Thai place, and this Thai place, you can guarantee you're going to see the owner, and he's in a booth closest to the kitchen. He's got a small TV, and I'm talking TV, not a little flat screen, a little box TV.
Yeah.
And he's watching Vietnamese shows in an incredibly annoying level. And then there's the annoying music. And I'm like, this is authenticity. I'm going to fucking get a migraine. And he would like start yelling at the TV. You know?
Interesting.
All right, whatever he's saying. I mean, I'm not trying to butcher the language. It just sounds crazy.
I've not experienced that one. I've gone to many Thai ones, and the thing I do notice is a lot of them are family run. So you'll notice the owner, the wife, the husband, whoever, sitting there working. One of my favorite ones here, just in Golden Thai. It's right over by the movie theater over there.
Oh, yeah.
The owner lady, she's been there almost every time I have gone for years. And like it had been, probably 4 or 6 months since we had gone in. And we went in and the owner lady had seen Emily and I, and she's like, "Oh, where you guys been? I haven't seen you in so long." And it's like, "Oh, we got takeout." But she's great. I love that when you have that connection, even at like a restaurant or something. Because we used to, when I was younger and my parents had the assisted living centers, we used to go to Uchi in Provo when it was there all the time.
What the fuck is Uchi?
Teppanyaki, it was right where Chick-fil-A is in Provo by Macy's.
Oh, yes.
That used to be Teppanyaki.
Well, it used to be Benihana back in the 80s.
After Benihana, it became Teppanyaki.
Yeah.
And then after Teppanyaki, they sold to an owner, it became Uchi. And the owner of Uchi, my parents became great friends because we were always there. He would like cook our table and stuff. He'd take food off our plates and move it to other people. Like he'd just fuck around with us because we were there so often and he knew us very well.
Yeah.
But I love that because it feels like home. It feels like family. It doesn't feel like I'm going out to eat. It's like, oh, I'm going to my buddy's house. He's going to cook his meal. We're going to laugh. We're going to joke. It's going to be a great time. And the food's going to be delicious. And I loved that. That's what it was like. So I love those really small, quaint restaurants like that. The really ma and pa feel kind of stuff. You get the best food. It's like the one we went to with Russ and Nate.
Yeah,
and
Four Seasons.
Whole little shithole kind of thing.
Yeah, what you want? Remember that guy?
The most incredible food. I was like, oh man,
that was such a cool experience because when you went in there, they were like, Nate. You remember Nate? Okay, it's gonna be awesome, dude. It's gonna be so good. He was like, He was like a guy
He was
who's
great.
always like revving it as high as he could go, especially when he talks. I love the energy of Nate. And we went to this restaurant, and they're like, you're going to think it's a total shithole, but you're going to love it. And we get in there, and they've got all of those red cups that Pizza Hut used to have. And back in the day, they used to have these red cups. If you're listening or you're watching this, you know
Like
the
the
red
Coca-Cola ones.
Yeah, they were just straight red, and they had like these
Oh, they didn't say
hexagonal.
Coca-Cola?
They were like diamond pattern, and they would stack them, and you would see them in the restaurant in these bins that they would bring from the scullery. And so you pull out these cups, and I swear, you remember they were in the same fucking basket thing, and there's like. It looked
random
like
shit all over.
Well, it looked like a store. It looked like an Asian market, Asian food market.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, it's
And then this tiny little set of tables in that in the
shitty
corner, and I'm
tables,
like,
too.
okay, so
all mixed matched chairs.
yeah, you think it's going to be the worst food? You're like, this literally looks like I'm eating in a gas station / market mix.
But Russ and Nate were just giddy. They
Oh my
were so
gosh.
excited, and he come out,
Those
and they're like,
lamb lollipop thingies.
"Yeah, rack of lamb, dude." He brought rack
my
of lamb
gosh.
out for us to have as an appetizer, and we didn't know what it was going to be. They just said, "Whatever you want to do, chef," because and the prices.
Yeah.
You didn't even get to look at the prices.
The
You
price
just
is the price.
asked. You just ask. You go, "What do you want?" You go, "What you want? Seafood, chicken, beef." And then you
Or
say,
it depended on what he had the night before, because
Yeah.
sometimes he had other delicacies he had made or done. And
or
it's
you
like,
could
okay.
recommend something, and he'd be like, "No, you're gonna have this," and then he would just disappear. And he was like wearing shorts, flip flops, and a shitty
Yeah,
polo
that's
shirt.
what it is.
And the guy makes money
Yeah.
importing spices, and it was so cool. It was so cool.
It was quite the experience. Yeah.
Oh my
I
gosh!
always like that more than chains. It's interesting to me when people go someplace and then they go to a chain. And I understand familiarity and sometimes people aren't very adventurous. So it's hard to branch out and go, well, I want to try something new, even if it's almost the identical thing to what you would eat at a chain, but it's a local thing. You know, still for some people, it's hard to branch out. I guess I'm not that way. I love new restaurants, new food, new places, new experiences, because what if I try that new restaurant and it's like the best place I've ever had? If it's terrible, I just don't go back. You know, no harm, no foul. It's not like I lost out. But if it's an amazing experience, well, now I have another like fantastic thing to add to my list. It's kind of like a strain. You know, hey, that sounds tasty. That sounds good. That terpene profile, cannabinoid profile sounds like it would pair very nicely with what I've enjoyed in the past. You know, well, I'm going to try it instead of just, well, I know this strain has been really nice, so I'm going to just try this strain.
I'm going to describe the flavor in my mouth right now that may resonate with somebody. You ever done Bondo work before on a car?
No, but I know the smell.
That's what I smell right now.
Interesting.
I smell Bondo. And Bondo has a smell that you can almost taste.
Is it kind of like fiberglassy? Is it that
a little?
same?
It's very strange. Now, what I will tell you is that I really am enjoying the way I'm feeling right now. It's very bright, even though it's indica leaning. I don't feel couch lock. I don't feel tired.
This is the most
And it's a very
energetic,
slow
focused,
onset.
like awake Indica-Dominant hybrid that I think I've had in I don't even know how long.
Well, and it said nausea on there, but it should also talk about IBS. So TMI for you guys, I take trizepatide. I am off semaglutide. I'm on trizepatide. It's actually working way better for my diabetes. It's keeping it in. For other people, it'd be pre-diabetic. For me, it's like awesome levels. And it really had the side effect is that it can hurt your intestines.
Yeah.
And you're just going to have to go. Today's one of those days, but Brandon's like, dude, we're going to get you fucking high.
Yeah.
We're going to get you so stoned and you won't even care about your guts. And honestly, what it did, like within, I would say 5 minutes after hitting it, like it's a slow onset.
Yeah.
Flavor is
It
not.
was a very subtle onset. Like it's not overwhelming in any way.
It's very slow.
Very pleasant, but like
Some
mild.
can almost feel like a wave where it almost goes as fast as it came up.
Yeah, some of them are such a short-lived, and you're like,
Yeah.
whoa, and then you're like, wait,
30 minutes later, you're like, I could smoke another bowl.
But you're like, wait,
That's not
am I
good.
even high? Like, I don't
Yeah.
feel like it's, because it's not just I could smoke another bowl. It's like, that was the end of the ride. Like, it's totally done by that time. You know, some of them, it's like, hey, 30 minutes, and you're like, okay, cool. Now it's, you know, I got another 30, 40 minutes of this experience on flower just out of, you know, a bong or a bubble or even a vaporizer.
Totally. Is
it pretty dry? I feel like it burns pretty well with that.
It still burns like almost every single hit, but that's the carryover.
This has a lot of give, though. Like, yeah, that's pretty dank still.
Well, that's
like
indicative of the grower.
I was surprised. It's only about a 26% THC, so it's not super high, but it does have CBD, CBC, CBG.
Yeah, it's pretty common with dragonfly grower. The dragonfly growers over there, they really wanted to emphasize bringing more CBG in there, more of the medicinal side, not just the get me fucked up side. Because it's almost like, dude, I love that. You remember when we reviewed a long time ago Sleepy Joe? Like that shit. Oh my gosh, I don't know what was in that, but because it's been so long. But I love the package. I found a package of it.
Image online.
Yeah, and it's like this. It's like
It
you won't even know where you are.
I know. And it's true. Like, I feel like there were some strains that just kind of really make you stupid.
Fuck.
They really make you stupid.
Yeah, I mean, that one took you down several pegs, and you were like, it goes beyond couch lock. It's like just stupid mode. Like, there's where
that could be needed if you are so overwhelmed with like life stress that you are so anxious.
100%, dude.
Get fucking stupid.
Yep.
And then come back.
Yep, because I mean, it's it's like my wife. My wife has the gummies when she's just like, I am over fucking whelmed. And it's life and all that stuff. And I had heard somebody said like, oh yeah, don't just go use weed to get away from your problems. Well, let's talk about that. What are problems in your mind, right? It's stress. And what's stress? That's inflammation. So if you have a lot of inflammation, what happens? Your body starts to suffer from it. And when your mind isn't okay because you can't let go of the stress, because it's so built up that you're just like, it doesn't matter if I try to be optimistic or not. It's almost like, fuck my life.
Yeah. Well, there's books like The Body Keeps the Score, other things that they say, like, things are stored in there. And I've wondered how much of my pain is stuff that's just stored that somehow I haven't released or gotten rid of.
Well, I understand that. I mean, you grew up in a family where, honestly, it just sounded like a lot of your feelings were suppressed because you're just like you said, like, I didn't have an opinion. And it's made me more cognizant. Like, I'm glad that we have those conversations, bro, because it makes me more cognizant of how I interact with my kids every single time. And we're both breaking a cycle.
When you say that, like, Xander's crazy depressed and he struggles and he's like feeling different or doesn't belong in that. And I'm like, man, that resonated a lot with me. And seeing him walk around your house with his headphones and stuff. And I'm like, that was me. I didn't exist without music. Like, that was my therapy. That's how I felt safe, how I felt like some sort of something was I had headphones. You see me when we started traveling, every country we were in. I was in London and France the whole time. There's one headphone in my ear. The entire time, every place we were. You see me in Italy. I always had a headphone in. Like, I was always listening to music because that was like
a safe space.
Yeah.
Safe space, yeah. Because
it was an escape for my mind.
Dude, I'm 100%. Like, I remember when I was in the Navy and I had my Discman. And everywhere.
Pre-anti-skip or anti-skip?
No, this was a shitty one. I mean, you could get anti-skip at this time, but it was fucking expensive. Yep. Like, you'd be running like $60, $80 for an anti-skip.
Yep.
But I had this player, dude, and when I went into the Navy, it was really lonely because I was all by myself. And I wasn't as outgoing and charismatic. I was slower to do that at this time because I was completely thrown out of my element.
When do you think that changed? Because the Jesse I've known has always been outgoing. Charismatic, and like that. So when did that kind of come into play, do you think?
I think what it came from was, well, when I was younger, I was always like that. Like we had Amber on the show. We grew up together, and she's like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, you've always been like that." And I'm like, "Yeah, to a point, because I was more like, it was a small town.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of people here at the time. I mean,
No.
comparatively speaking, this place is fucking so densely packed, and
Yes.
everybody's like, dude, this is a nice place. There's lots of room." And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I live in LA, and I'm like, oh, no, fuck it.
Yeah. Well, because they come from these
Concrete jungles.
In relation, yeah, like this now is crazy busy in comparison to what it was 20, 30 years ago.
Shit.
You go about 50 years ago, it was like a ghost town. There was
yeah.
dirt roads and shit.
They had like the stoplight.
Well, it's crazy because I was learning, my grandpa, he was, God, they had just opened like their own massive depot in Orem for their business. They had just put like a train station into their depot for my grandpa's business because they were doing well enough to have their own train station and that. And he was
Isn't that
heading
crazy.
Yeah, and I was like, and they were heading up to the depot, like heading up to the office in his MG, this convertible MG, and the roads were dirt. My dad was born. He's driving Provo Orem on dirt roads. And he's coming up, racing up this hill, and he's getting up higher. He sees there's a semi going. And he basically has two options because the MG is low enough. He can go under and decapitate and kill everyone. Or he can run into the tire of the semi truck. So he runs into the tire and it literally breaks every rib off of his spine. Like and he has something that punctures him and goes all the way through his chest.
Oh.
He is basically handicapped, paralyzed for like a year. He can't do anything. It's over a year. So he loses the he can't be able to do all of that. So that company basically goes away. But that dirt roads and that, I'm like, how in the hell? This isn't even that long ago.
Dude, I remember when Geneva Road, and for those who are not Utahns, so we used to have, little old Utah had its own steel refinery, and I lived in that town. So every morning when I woke up, it's like an old Pennsylvania town, right? It's like you just see this plumes of copperish smoke
in the air.
Yeah, all the time,
Out
every
to the
morning,
west.
and you could smell it. Like was this smell, and it was this giant facility where they were pouring molten steel, forming it. They were selling it overseas mostly, and it was just crazy, dude. Because now where that steel refinery, there is a whole city now.
Oh yeah,
And I'm like, I would
It's
not
insane.
fucking live there. Like, no fucking
Well,
way.
that's where they're wanting to put one of the whole live-in electric cities is over in that vineyard area.
Well,
So-
if they've got something cool for the soil. Because every time I see somebody over there, I'm like, I grew up here. And that road was just like a desolate road. There was nothing
Oh, yeah.
on it.
Nothing was on Geneva.
Dude, that was like I had a neighbor. He used to drive this like old Toyota Celica. And we were outside and he pulled up to the house and in the windshield was a bird. And he gets out and he's literally like dusting himself off from all this glass. And the wings are wrapped around the entire windshield. A bald eagle dive bombed right at his car, kamikaze style.
What the fuck?
If it didn't happen, it'd be fucking weird to make up this shit, dude. And it fucking hits the glass, bam, and buries its beak right through the windshield and just wraps its body around. They had to call like animal control, and he's
Yeah.
like, I didn't kill it because it's a federal crime to kill this
Oh yeah.
this cool looking
But
vulture.
how would you do that as you're driving down the road anyway? Like what?
Fucking weird, right?
That's insane.
It was crazy because he was just like, what
I
the
cannot. Could you imagine? Those things are huge. Like just getting died. You're cruising along. All of a sudden, boom! Like you would not expect that at all because it's coming from up above. You're not even
Right.
seeing that.
I mean, it was fucking nuts, dude. But yeah, it just takes me back to like thinking about like more simple things. Like I really like this strain right now because this would be a really good therapy strain. And the reason why I say therapy has become really ubiquitous. And that's awesome because people are now seeing that self-improvement is a good thing and that it's okay. And they actually openly talk about it. For like, you go and watch like Mad Men series, and the wife is having panic attacks in the 60s.
Yeah.
And she gets like Valium.
Yep.
And which is awesome. If you've ever taken Valium, it's like,
No.
ooh. Yeah. Dude, I'll tell you this though, man. I'm so glad I started doing morphine, because morphine's awesome. Like when I got my knee surgery, anyways. But the character, when she goes to see a therapist, like the therapist like tells her husband the conversations that they have, because they didn't have the rules that they have now.
Even now, though, there's been times where my oldest truly needed a therapist, and their mom went in and pre-primed the therapist with what they wanted the therapist to believe. And so then my
So
kid
she
didn't-
gaslit the therapist.
and then my child didn't have a safe space, because then the therapist relayed everything to my ex-wife, and nothing was actually safe. So the issues that my kid had, they couldn't actually even talk about or address. And it became, I'm like, so it really didn't actually help, even in today's aspect. But I know there are still some protections that people can gain or have gained from that.
And a lot of it just has to depend on, I mean, finding a therapist, dude, you have a better chance of, yeah.
I don't know. It's even like Bennett had said.
It's
He's tried a ton. He'll go to a bunch of different ones and rotate, because even if you like one, you get a different perspective. And sometimes maybe what you just need is a different perspective.
Well, honestly, that's what one of the best things, dude, is when you're able to talk out a lot of your emotions in a safe space. And what's a safe space? A place where you feel no judgment, that you can vent, and that you're not looking for validation or for advice. You just want someone to hear you because you're so frustrated or you're so excited, whatever it is, right? And you feel like you can't share that with anybody. Like, that's a great place to be, because it's literally like being able to talk to another consciousness inside yourself, because it's what they're trying to do. They just keep asking you more questions if they're good.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's like what your poor daughter went through. Like, I think that there's some really strong standards that need to be put onto that.
I do too, because that's a boundary that shouldn't have been done, especially in that instance, because it wasn't a self-harm. It wasn't like all of these things that was like, okay, that you shouldn't have gone through that. That was a gross overstepping of your your rights and that you were supposed to have. And
well, and that even goes with like, life coaches. Life coaches can fall into that one. I don't know if other states have this, but Utah, there was a bill that was just proposed to pass to make sure that life coaches now have to be licensed with the state. And the reason why is because too many of them are trying to use it as a gateway to therapy.
Oh, so they're a therapist without being a therapist, without having credentials or anything, basically.
Well, the big problem came from where, the LDS Church was supporting that whole like conversion therapy of, pray the gay away.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of like
a lot of religions.
A lot of crazy Christian religions started thinking that this is the best way to face this issue going on. It's like, hey,
if electroshock therapy doesn't work, you might as well try praying the gay away.
Hey, you never tried love?
Nope.
Ooh.
Well, that shit doesn't work.
No.
Jesus said, tase the shit out of them and see if it works.
If thou electrocute thee, then you will see clearly, right? But these life coaches started to offer that.
Yeah.
And you got to know, like when you get somebody who is a person of faith, they're pretty easygoing and very accepting of other things and can deal with change. When you've got fanatics are like, oh shit, we're not getting our drug the same place anymore. Let's go to another dealer. And it literally is like, they're just like, well, because they used to do something and now they don't do that because they figured out that that's just fucked up or something like that. Whatever their decision is, their decision. But when they're doing it and they're trying to say that, I need it that way still. Like, you should have the option to pray the gay away. Like, it's so funny. Like, my kid's gay. What do I do? shock them and force them into some type of reprogramming, right? Because they're just using behavioral modification, which is psyops. And it's so funny because they did that. And I'm so glad that a senator said, fuck that.
Yeah.
That's not cool. Because the mind is so pliable. We've known that for the last 5-6 years of how extreme the mind can go. And it's saddening because it's not important. A lot of these reasons and things that they have in their lives is not important, but it's metastasized because they have so much connection, so much influence coming into their lives that they're constantly feeling like they're underneath the microscope. And they feel so bad about themselves. And they want to feel like a unique person because they can't even celebrate that. So all of these things start coming up, and then other people prey off of that. You know, it's so frustrating to see. And especially like a life coach, dude, that's a good person to have. I think it's a good thing to have. Are they going to be a really good solution for your depression? Probably not.
Yeah.
And is therapy going to be a good solution? I don't know.
Well, all those things are, at the end of the day, is tools. Really,
100%.
They're just
it's
tools
just a tool
for you to help you work on you. And if you're not working on you anyway, it doesn't matter how many tools you have if you truly don't use them or do the work or whatever. Because it's like reading self-help books. Oh, I've read all these books. Okay, but there's things they teach you in those books. What things have we taken from these books and actually implemented or tried to do? Well, I've read all these books. That's great. Or I've heard all these words. Oh, that's awesome. I've watched all these shows. That's fucking great. What changes have you implemented? You know, and it's like, oh, well, these. And you're like, okay, well, again, you know, you want change or you want these tools to benefit you. Tools are only as great as what you do with them.
Yeah.
I can have all these tools to build a home, but if I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, I don't use them correctly, and I don't even use them at all, I'm not going to build shit. They're going to sit there and collect dust, and I'm going to go, man, look at all these projects I've got going on, and I'm just going to feel overwhelmed because nothing's happened.
Well, and that's why it's important to be able to look for sources that are going to be able to help you. You can't life on your own, so you got to really look for others that can be able to help you along the way, and not thinking about like, well, what's the quid pro quo here? Like, honestly, it's just about being open enough and sharing. And that's one of the things that I've loved about the cannabis community. It's what I explain to people who are new to it, just saying, hey, look, this isn't like anything else that you can buy, because there's a understanding that comes along with the culture. Like, you have to know that a lot of people who have been in the culture for a while, when new people come into it, some of them can get annoyed. And the only reason why is because they've been burned by people, or they were used by people.
Yeah.
And just out of their kind graces, man. Like, I don't know anybody who's a dick who uses cannabis.
Yeah. Not
I mean, I'm sure there are. I'm
sure
there are. But I rarely meet those people.
I feel like if you continue to use cannabis, though, you either become introspective or you probably stop using it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do become introspective, I feel like that's when you start actually trying to make changes.
Oh, totally.
So, you know, but some people, maybe that's why that's what my thought process was when my brother's wife tried cannabis, and she got a little bit too high, but probably off of like 6 milligrams. So not super high, but still for her. But I realized, I was thinking about it, I'm like, I think it was because she was hyper introspective and she didn't like the person she realized that she was. And that's a hard realization sometimes to be faced with, especially if it's an abrupt thing you weren't wanting. If you have yourself shoved in your face and you're not expecting that or not ready for it, it can be a real hard awakening sometimes.
Yeah, dude, it's really powerful if you don't understand. And that's one of the things, like, I really liked. One of the comments that we had was they changed their perspective on it the way that many of us in the cannabis community do. We use it for intent. Like, I don't go, well, it's cannabis 30 somewhere. Like, I better get high. Like, I'll go to it as a tool. And sometimes I use it for coping, where the stress is so much, but I don't want to do something where I'm locked into a couch. Like, I like that, like, to help me go to sleep, because I know about you, but my mind is going constantly. And when there's silence and I'm stressed.
Oh, it doesn't. Your mind just goes, yep.
Nope. I'll have to put something in my ear, or I will take a good edible right before I go to bed, and then before I know it, it's morning.
That's when I'd have to get into meditations and stuff, because I'll find that the nights when I can't quiet my mind, or the nights that I'm just like, okay, I'll try and do a meditation then, and it hasn't been quite as bad lately. I've just been so exhausted, but the rest, otherwise, I feel like that's the way I do it. I have to do a meditation. That really helps me quiet my mind, because otherwise, sometimes it won't shut up.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Hey, go check out some egg roll. See if it's something that suits you guys. If it's something you enjoy and is up your alley.
Yeah. And go check out the website. Tell us what you think. Give us some feedback on that. What some of the things you want. Let us know what dispensaries around you would really prosper from being able to be on Cannabis School approved. But until next time,
Catch you then.
take care.